All right, so to help us understand structure and posture in Tai Chi, we use some points. And these points are common points throughout Chinese medicine and Eastern medicine. Some don't have the same names, but sometimes you can refer to Chinese medicine texts and you'll see these points. Or sometimes they go by a different name, but they're always there. And there's a lot of them, but for beginners, we're just going to go over 4. Now, I'll be referring to these points in the later videos to help you align yourself. So you're going to use these points to help align yourself so your structure is correct. And your structure needs to be as tight and as perfect as possible. So it's very important that you know these points because I'll be referring to them. So let's start at the top of the body. Right here at the very tippy top of the head. And this point is where the bones fuse together when you were a baby. All right, and if you find it at the very tippy top of your head, you'll actually find a slight indentation. It's very subtle, but it's there. Just to let you know, it's at the very tippy top. So keep going up, and as soon as you start to go down, you need to go back because it's the very pole of the head, the north pole of the head. Now, this point is called Bai Hui. Bai Hui. Bai Hui. Now, unfortunately, there's no English translation to it, so I'll be referring to it in Chinese, Bai Hui. Now, this point we are going to use to adjust the head. And later when I talk about the principles, this is the point where we want to feel as though we're suspended from above. All right? Now, we're going to use the other points too. You're going to use other points in the body to align this point so your structure is going straight up and down and the flow of chi is corrected to, or put it in a way that we want it to flow. The next point down is at the center of the body. And this point is called Dantian. 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 All right, once again, there's no English translation, so I'm going to use the Chinese. Now, there's several Dantians on the body. And it's called it's called the upper dantian, middle dantian, regular dantian, lower dantian. But I'm not going to call it that because usually when people refer to dantian, they're talking about this dantian. So how do we find our dantian? Take your pointer finger and stick it in your belly button, or find your belly button. Okay, take your other hand and I want you to stack the pointer finger, the middle finger, and the ring finger. And then take those fingers and place it right under the finger you put in your belly button. All right. Now remove the belly button finger and bring it below the ring finger in the center of the body. All right. Now remove the 3 fingers. Now this is where your dantian is. You have to go into the body about 1.25 inches, and there is a point in the body called dantian. And it's not just a point to indicate the center of the body. This point or this tissue in this area can be exercised, and we exercise this through breathing in Tai Chi and this thing called Neigong. And it can actually open up and it acts like a diaphragm, and you can actually store chi in this place, but it has to be exercised. And this is one of the things we do in Tai Chi. Also, this is the physical center of your body, and when we move, and when I talk about moving later, we move from this point. All right, Dantian, Dantian. Bai Hui, Dantian. Now, below that, right at the base of the pelvic floor, in between your anus and your genitals, right in between that place, is called Hui Ying, Hui Ying, Hui Ying. And this is a place that we use in conjunction with Bai Hui so that we can make sure our spine and our energy is going up and down and we're not leaning to one side or the other. All right. We also level the pelvis off, and when we do this, this Hui Ying interacts with the feet if we do this correctly. Now, speaking of the feet, this is the south pole. So I remember I talked about this being the north pole. This is the south pole of the body. Now, if you want, you can take off your shoe. If you don't need to, if you don't want to find this point. Now, this point is really, really, really important because the bottom of the feet set up the structure or the foundation. It's the foundation. It sets up the structure for the rest of the body. So if the feet are off, if the energy in the feet is going in the wrong place, then the rest of your structure will be off. So it's very important to know where this point is and to utilize this point. Now this point is called bubbling wells. Here we have an English word we can use, bubbling wells. Bubbling wells. And to find it, you need to find the balls on the bottom of your feet. You have a big one under the big toe, and then you have this elongated one under the smaller toes. They come together. Right where they come together, go down. All right? And it'll be going in. The flesh will be going in. And you want to use your thumb, right? And you want to push in towards the top of the foot, not to the side, straight in towards the top of the foot. And it should go in. It should easily go in. And then it stops. And then you're going to get a slight pinching to a medium pinching feeling that's not too comfortable. That is your bubbling wells. That is your bubbling wells. Now, the thing we do with this point, and you hear me refer to this all the time, more about this point than any other point, we need to have our weight, our gravity point. Now, when we put the foot on the floor, on the ground, we put it flat and we pay attention to how the weight goes into the foot. It needs to be guided into the foot properly. All right? And it needs to be guided into the bubbling wells. And when we do our standing and when we do all of our exercises, we need to focus in on this because it sets up our structure. Also, a lot of people, when they put the weight in the foot, they put the weight in the foot incorrectly. Instep, toes, heels, outstep. And this causes problems further up on the body, the knees, the lower back. So this is another great thing that Tai Chi does. It teaches you how to stand in your feet, and this sets up proper structure in the body. So whenever we're doing anything, or even when we're not doing Tai Chi, you want to focus in on having your foot flat on the floor, everything touching comfortably, but you're weighted into the bubbling wells. Your weight is going down into the bubbling wells. The gravity is going down into the bubbling wells. All right, so to reiterate, North Pole, Bai Hui, suspended from above. South Pole, bubbling wells. All our weight goes into the bubbling wells. Center of the body, right below the belly button, is Dantian. This is where we turn from. This is where we set up our mind. We establish our mind down there so we can turn from this point. And then Hui Ying, which is right at the pelvic floor, that we use in conjunction with the Bai Hui and the bubbling wells. We bring it in between. This sets up our structure in the body so that the chi and the energy runs correctly. All right? So remember these points. I'll be referring to them all the time. And now we can talk about the principles. That's the next video. See you there.